everybody, welcome to Angel Stories with Amy. Today I am going to talk about some visualizations and things that happened to me when I was going through cancer. Maybe you can apply them to your own life or share it with someone who is also spiritual and in need of some kind of healing. And if they're good at visualizing, well, actually, even if they're not good at visualizing, they can practice it and become good at it. But so when I was in the radiation waiting room, now this is back in 2016, the energy, because I feel a lot of energy, it was very sad, depressing, and everybody in the waiting room just didn't seem to be, I don't know, lifted in any way that was positive. And I would go in and sit down and grab a book from the shelf until I bought A Course in Miracles Made Easy, because I have the other version and it was too hard for me to read. So I did read and accomplish one full book while I was in the waiting room, and this was in December, so they had everything decorated for Christmas, and my goal was to be out of there by Christmas and be done with radiation. So getting back to sitting in the waiting room, it just suddenly dawned on me, I'm trying to read and I wasn't able to be focused on the book that I had from the shelf, and I remember thinking, I wonder if I can help, because I know that there's a lot of Reiki and healing touch and so many different energy healing that all you have to do is research and try to practice it. If you want to have a business in it, I suggest that you look into doing that if you feel like you're an energy healer. And I didn't feel like I was an energy healer, but I do suggest people sending love and light to people that either are struggling, grieving, or have a health concern or in the hospital, because it really does work. So I had this vision in my head and a voice that said, surround everybody in this room with green healing light. And of course that would be Archangel Raphael, the angel of healing. And I remember just in my mind, I wouldn't stare at the person. That would be a little weird. Picturing that person or the whole room just lit up with emerald green light, and asking God and the angels to come in and raise the energy, make it more positive. Some spiritual people will say raise the vibration. And I cannot believe how it changed things. Not right away, but as time went on, and I was coming in, it was just odd to me that some of those very negative patients weren't there anymore. And then more upbeat people were coming in. Same issues, we're all struggling with some sort of cancer we need radiation for. But yet the energy was completely different after only 3 or 4 days of doing this. And we would be there every day from Monday through Friday. And then all of a sudden, this chaplain came in, and he was very bubbly and singing songs and asking us to all get involved. And I thought, could this have been created by me starting this green healing light? Because everybody that was in there was singing along and laughing, and it was amazing to me that I remember one day when my radiologist called me back, and she said, my goodness, what's going on out there? She said, I have never heard so much laughter and singing going on. And she's like, ever? I just laughed. I'm thinking, you're welcome. I'll take the credit for that, because I'm pretty sure that most people that go in there would not even know how to, or even think to send love and light around the room. Or I know there's positive people, and I know there's people out there that have that brave spirit and know that they're going to power through. And maybe they're positive about it, maybe they're not. I just know that the energy when I first got there, I was thinking to myself, if I have to deal with this every day, it's not going to be easy for me, because I feel energy, and it was not a positive experience. So start with that. Then the little old man would come in, and he was in there, he had prostate cancer, and in his retired years, he started a greenhouse with orchids. So he came in with the gift of a little orchid for every person that was in the waiting room. And I thought, this is just awesome. Like, look at what's happening. And people were just smiling instead of laying around in the waiting room kind of blah, you know, I don't feel good, or I have to get radiation or whatever. And I did friend somebody named Steve who was just such a light, and he was so compassionate, and it was kind of like we had a connection. Older gentleman in there for lung cancer. He was winding down in his time there, and he said that he was going to do some trials, and just was kind of sad for me because he couldn't believe how young I was and that I was going through this experience. But I remember my last day of radiation, and I came out to the waiting room, and he was actually there with a gift for me. He remembered when my last day was, and he brought this little pewter angel and hugged me and said, congratulations. And it made my whole day. I was so excited. My mom's like, who's that? Because she was my ride. And I said, that's Steve. He's just an older, kind soul that was in there for radiation and was starting a different journey, and I'm sad to say that he has passed. Sorry. But I know he's in a great place, and he's probably shining down on me and just saying, keep going, because he was a cheerleader. He definitely was a cheerleader. And I will never forget that. He was like an earth angel sent into that radiation room because he had such funny stories and he was so positive, and I just adored him. So, getting on to another thing I wanted to talk about. I remember laying in the radiation, like getting the radiation done, and they had music playing, Christmas music mostly. And I remember one time I walked in and they were playing country, which I have nothing against it. It's just not my favorite. So the one lady said to me, I don't know why they have country on, but do you mind if I put Christmas on? And I'm like, please. I'm fine with that. And I remember laying there, and the machine makes noise, not nearly as loud as an MRI. But I kept hearing Mariah Carey singing Joy. I don't remember the name of the song now, but she kept, and it was like a choir, and they kept singing Joy, Joy. And the visualization that I kept getting in my head during radiation, and this was for all the weeks I was there, it was like fairies were taking, actually, no, it was Jesus. Jesus had his hand on my head during radiation, and I could feel like it was pulling the negative energy out of my head. And I refer to that sometimes as like a gray mist or a gray matter. And I could see it coming out, and I could feel him pulling it. And I wanted to fill that with positivity. And all of a sudden these fairies were sprinkling something in my head, and then I saw them with a watering can. And this went on every day of radiation. And I remember thinking to myself, they're planting good seeds, and they're gonna have flowers bloom, because they took out the tumor, and now we're going to have a beautiful garden in my head. I wish they would have planted more things to help me remember, things to help me speak, because I do sometimes fumble my words and forget. sometimes the forgetfulness is really bad, to the point where I think, oh my gosh, my tumor might be back. No, it's not that my tumor is back. It's just that I'm overwhelmed, I'm too busy, and I'm not taking a break, and I have to kind of relax. So I was kind of interested to go back to my my oncologist once I had my MRI after the experience with radiation, and I was doing chemo at the same time. And I remember thinking, I wonder what she's gonna say. And she had said that it was gone. Like, there was no residual there, because they did take the tumor out, but it had fingers, so sometimes it will leave something behind, and it was empty. And it was so funny, because I thought, oh my gosh, they did remove it, and I'm glad that there was nothing left in there. You know, of course, the rest of my brain, which my brother might argue at that point. But anyway, so that was my journey with love and light and Archangel Raphael and fairies and Jesus, and it was just amazing. And I can tell you that when I would go into my MRI before I was actually put under anesthesia, I could see, it looked like flashes of white gold lights, and I just kept thinking to myself, they're with me. I know they're with me. And now that I have to do anesthesia, I still see them as I'm going under, and it is amazing to me that now what I'm seeing when I go under is the green light, which is Raphael. And I know that all of our angels are taking care of us at all times, and we have to do our part though too, meaning ask for help. Make sure that you are sending love and light to people that you don't understand, or you have a conflict with. It really does work, and they don't need to know about it. And that's the good thing. I do have a story about a man who came to me, before I had cancer, and he was struggling with somebody who he allowed to live with him. There was a major age difference, and he was falling in love with her, and he needed her to leave. It was just not a good situation. And I had just told him, I said, I just recently started sending people love and light. And I said, go into your room if that's where you're not going to be disturbed, and close your eyes, visualize her, and put whatever color comes to you coming from your heart like a tunnel and going around her. And I said, hold this as long as you can, as long as you feel guided, because he's very spiritual, very tapped into his intuition. So I told him, call me, let me know how it goes, but don't expect anything to happen right away. And the more you practice this, the easier it gets for you, but it also benefits the other person if their spirit is open to receiving. So he did this, and then a half hour later, my phone rings. He's like, you are not gonna believe this. I probably will, was my response. He said, I seriously held her in a pink light for maybe 10 minutes. And there was a knock on my door, and she comes in and tells me she's moving out. And he said, I didn't think she had anywhere to go. I didn't want to hurt her. And he's like, it worked. He said, it worked right after I did it. If you do that, I just want you to know that it doesn't always work like that. He was very impressed. And I said, well, you're already tapped in. You're very spiritual. And so it worked fast for you. And I said, and it's also about divine timing, because we don't know what's going on in that person's journey. We don't know if they're going to have some revelation where they realize they need to leave also. So that was awesome. I thought that was really cool that it happened that quickly. Another story I want to share about that is, how can you tell if somebody's receiving it or not? Which is a question I've had people ask me, because I did mention that some people were open to receiving and some people are not. So I ended up sending someone who is very negative love and light. And I don't know if you know Pigpen from the Peanuts, but that's what I saw. I saw his energy with like dark scribbles all around him, and I got this intuitiveness that said he's not ready to receive. And with that, I thought, okay, well, I'm going to keep sending it to him anyway, because whatever we give, we get in return. And it did help to heal my heart, because sometimes we have to distance ourselves from people who they're too negative for our spirit. They're not good for us, and they tend to, once we're up here, they tend to bring us down. And even though it's really sad and we would like to bring them up to where we are, it doesn't necessarily work that way. So sometimes that's when we have to kind of cut the cords and walk away. So that's what I have for you today, and I hope you enjoyed it. I still have to get to the angel stories from other people, and I will do that. But I wish you many angel blessings. Have a wonderful day.